What's up, guys? Mullet Reaver here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we are on my good friend Mighty's account. He got super lucky the other day. He had a Remnant summon, and Remnants, if you haven't done this yet, have a 2.5% chance of pulling a mythical champion, and he had one, and he pulled the brand new champion, Androc The Glorious. Super cool champ. Brand new, just got snuck in with the Monster Hunter champs in the edition there. So not a lot of people have seen him yet. He's got such a crazy kit. He's got so much utility within it. He's going to be a menace in a bunch of different areas. Mighty's been using him. Faction Wars, of course. He said it sped up his run super fast. But he's going to be in live Arena and Hydra, I think, are going to be the two best spots for him. That's where I've tested him a little bit for this video. But like Iron Twins, pretty much anybody that hits hard, he turns them into little weaklings because of his kit. So let's go over him real quick. As far as his aesthetics, he looks pretty cool. He's just a dude in some lion armor. And then his second form, he turns into a lion, which is pretty sweet. Nice golden lion, big old cape, big mace. Super cool. The way we have him built is, let's go back to his first form. His stats do change a little bit based on that form. Like his resistance and accuracy changes a bit, things like that. So we've got him in triple perception, 53k HP. He is a defense-based champ, so we got 5k defense, 265 speed. He is crit capped, but not too much crit damage. He's not really going to do a lot of damage. He's not a hard hitter, but part of his kit involves critical hits. So we'll go over that, but that's why he is crit capped. And then we've got a ton of accuracy on him, so he can land his debuffs and stuff. Like I said, it switches a little bit on the second form. You can see the accuracy and resistance change a little bit. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. It gets a little bit more accuracy. So as far as his kit goes, what makes him so crazy, so this first form is basically about resistance and buffing your allies, so your team. So we are not booked here, which you don't necessarily need it. Of course, it will help a little bit when it comes to like cooldowns and things like that, but he really doesn't need booked for the usage that we're going to put him in through here. So his A1 here is a single target hit, but it puts AoE increased defense on your whole team, which is pretty crazy for an A1. His A2 is an AoE hit. It increases the duration of all buffs on your team. So it's a buff extender as well as a heal for every buff that gets extended, 4% of their max HP, which is a pretty nice size heal. And then his A3 on here gives increased resistance, strengthen, and continuous heals on all allies for 2 turns, and then additional continuous heals if they are under 50% HP. So just a whole bunch of buffs getting put up. His A4 is, of course, his metamorph skill, and then his passive is pretty cool here. So his passive increases the resistance for each buff on each ally, so jacks up his resistance pretty high. And then this is why we had him crit capped. Every critical hit from all allies, so across the entire team, anybody that critical hits, increases the turn meter of all allies by 5%. So every time anybody critical hits, everybody's getting a 5% turn meter boost for each one. So in like Hydra, you got 4 heads. Arena, 4 enemies, things like that. That's a 20% turn meter boost for everybody, every critical hit. Pretty crazy. We've got Brimstone on him just for a little bit of extra damage. Let's check out his masteries. We went down, again, offense tree just to try to get that crit cap, a little bit of extra ancillary damage, things like that. But the main part is the support. Of course, we went to lasting gifts to extend the buffs that we're putting up. Master Hexer for the debuffs that we're going to put on his second form, and then Eagle Eye for accuracy. As far as that second form, so we kind of switch roles. So that first form was heal, was resistance, was a lot of buffs. The second form is debuffs and stripping and affecting your enemy. which is pretty cool. So his A1, I think, is pretty insane. It's a single target hit, but like his A1 that put increased defense on your turn, or on your team, this one puts decreased defense on the enemy. AoE, A1, decreased defense. Insane. His A2, this is the most fun one. This is why he is going to be a menace in live arena, in Hydra. This skill right here is super cool. So, attacks all enemies, places decreased resistance, weaken, and enfeeble on all enemies. This includes bosses, and bosses can get enfeeble on them. And if you don't know what enfeeble does, basically, if the enemy has, or anybody that has the enfeeble buff or debuff on them, they can only weak hit. So you can't crit, you can't strong hit anything. Everything is a weak hit. And if they have 50% HP or less, that enfeeble buff is protected, which is pretty crazy. If you book it, it can go down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty insane. And then his A3 is a full cleanse, or a full strip, I should say, and then deals damage equal to each buff removed, 5% of the enemy's max HP. Can't be crit. And then places the block debuffs for anybody that has their full, all their buffs removed. That also could be on a 3-turn cooldown. Again, his Metamorph skill. And then his passive on this one changes slightly, so where he gets accuracy for each buff on the enemy. So the more buffs up, the more accuracy he has. And then as far as all of those critical hits, this time, instead of increasing your turn meter, he is decreasing the enemy's turn meter. So that's where all that accuracy comes in handy. So pretty stout build right here. I did some testing in Live Arena and Hydra, which we're going to go over. But again, he can be used pretty much everywhere. He's not going to do the damage, but he is going to prevent your team from getting killed. He puts up tons of buffs, things like that. So a lot of fun. So let's go check out the Live Arena footage first, and then we'll do Hydra. Okay, so here we are in Live Arena now. These are recordings that I was doing just as I was playing around testing him. You can see that we are picking our team. We've got the Monkey King, we've got Pythion, we've got, of course, Leo and Heffract as our damage, and then Androc as kind of our swing slot. I think that's where he fits in the Live Arena picking. In my general formula, you go 2 either revive supports, like your Siphies, your Pythions, your Duchess, all that. Then you've got 2 DPS, and then kind of that swing slot, which can be your Monkey King, your Warlord, your Yumekos. In this case, we're going to use Androc in that swing slot. So you can see we've got up against this enemy, he's got both a Rhodos and a Harima in there, along with his own Monkey King, as well as Mithrala. This is Silver 2, I believe. So of course we can use duplicates versus in Gold, where you can't both choose the same champion. And then we move in. And as far as for Live Arena, I think it is Androc's second form that is truly the best for him. Let's skip through a little bit. Okay, so now it is Androc's turn. We've transformed into our second form, and then we're going to use that A2, which is all of the debuffs, including the Enfeeble. And you can see we've got Enfeeble on 3 of the enemies, including both Harima and Rhodos, as well as the Monkey King. He was under 50% HP, so we did get the protected debuff on there. Now you can see it is Harima's turn. She does have that Enfeeble up. She is going to target Heffract over here because she is positive affinity, but because of that Enfeeble, weak, he's still alive. Leo cleans him up, and that is that. So Androc turned one of the best DPS for Live Arena, being Harima. She couldn't even kill somebody that she was positive affinity against, not even a tanky champion, anything like that. Complete whiff on that, and we won. All right, so we've got our second fight here. Bringing in Marishka and Xena on this one. He is using Mortu, which of course with the peril is pretty scary. However, again, we are going to transform to our A2. Now the Mortu does not have Stone Skin on, so we don't have to strip first. We can purely just place all the debuffs up. Now everybody has Weaken, get some protection with Pythion. I don't have Marishka on my own account, so I never know what to do with her. A little bit of damage here out of Xena. I also haven't gotten Xena on my account yet. That'll be soon since the event is ending. But nice chance to play with her. You can see all the DPS attacks, and we have barely taken any sort of damage. Now we do the full strip with the block debuffs from Androc on his A3, and they are just all sitting ducks once we can get enough damage done with Xena here. So there goes Sulfurion. Now, of course, Syl is a reviver. And we just sort our way through this. They've still got the Enfeeble up. Trying to get some ally attacks to get some damage. Look at that weak shot. There's the revive. And there we drop Stultus. They can't really do anything to us at this point in time. The Mortu did drop with the Enfeeble. Another revive. And then we can just put it right back up. And we continue on with the fight. So this one, not very quick at all. Testing out some new DPS is kind of fun. But the enemy can't do anything to you while you've got that Enfeeble up. Everybody's just standing there taking weak shots after weak shots. We survive, we whittle them down, and then we win. So let's move on to the next fight. We come in. Our Androc is first. We have to transform real quick. Almost forgot to do that part. And then we A2 because nobody's got block debuffs up. Now everybody's got Enfeeble. The Duchess just chooses to A1, which is an interesting choice. And then we've got their DPS being... now everybody's dead. Here comes Rhodos with his retaliation, except he is enfeebled, so he can't hit. Look at that. Maybe a third of our HP gone. Leo cleans him up. And that is all she wrote for that fight. So, only a couple of battles for an example. However, you can see how he is such a menace. It's just that Enfeeble debuff is so impactful. Basically means they can't kill you while that is up. So let's go take a look at Hydra now. And we'll show you kind of the other form where we're using the buffs and everything to stay alive. So going into Hydra here, this is Nightmare Hydra. You can see we are using Krisk, we're using Uko, we've got Mithrala in there, we've got Androc here in this slot, and then we've got a Husk and a Mishinaki for some damage. This is full auto, not touching anything. It is also not optimized. It's not necessarily built for Nightmare Hydra. I just kind of threw a bunch of champions in there to see how he does in Hydra. With the thing about his AI, especially or particularly in Hydra here, is he does not change to his second form. So he's going to by default stay in that first form, which is all of these buffs. So you can see we've got tons of buffs on everybody. Everybody is going to start getting turn meter boosts whenever they start hitting the bosses for any of those critical hits, things like that. We're going to keep the buffs up for a lot of time. So he's doing a lot of healing. He's doing a lot of all the buff extension, things like that. Now, in the case of being optimal with him, obviously, Hydra is a manual game mode for the most part, unless you've got super top-end accounts and just want to get your one key and move on, which you could certainly absolutely do that. However, for optimization, obviously, whenever, say, Mischief steals all of the buffs, things like that, you can flip over to his A2, you can do the buff strip, he has got block debuffs in his kit, you can enfeeble the enemy or the Hydra as well. to stop, say, Wrath from wiping you out and things like that. So tons of utility in his kit. You can see just all of the stuff that he's bringing. So this is not a great key. However, I just wanted to test him to see what he can do. And I really like him in Hydra as far as that support side. So I'll get out of here and watch the rest of it. It's only about a 27 million turn key, but you can just see how much buffs and turn meter boosts and things like that he's given. So that'll do it for me for this one. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.